Hi guys. So you've probably watched some of the videos I've put up already about my wedding. You've probably seen some of the vlogs, some of the experiences that we did and pictures of the event. I just want to make it clear for you to see how you might want to save money if you've got a wedding coming up. I know it's difficult, it's an expensive time, there's a lot of things to plan, a lot of money to spend. So these aren't cost savings tips that are like kind of low, don't spend a penny on your wedding cost saving tips, but they are tips that will help you to maximize what you can have and still get more out of your wedding without spending quite as much if you don't need to. There's lots of options that you can use to compromise and just make sure that it meets your own budget. So stick with this video and I'll give you a few of those tips. Tip number one is guest count. That's the first thing that's always going to affect some of your budget. Yes, you're going to pay for the church. Yes, you're going to pay for your dress, your clothes. So even if there's just you and a groom, those things are going to get paid for regardless of, anyone else being there. You're going to wear clothes, you're going to pay for a venue, whether that's a church, a registry office, a garden, outdoor temple or, altar. So you need to be conscious that that's the money you're going to spend anyway. You're going to pay for your paperwork if it's an abroad wedding, just like I had. So you're going to have to pay for a lot of legal paperwork, not just to have the initial paperwork done, but to translate it and send it across to another country as well. So there's going to be some elements of that. You might pay the solicitors to sign off some of the paperwork. There's going to be a lot of costs that you don't think about that are nothing to do with just what you look like and what colour the flowers are and how much food people eat. So one of the first things to think about is the guest count. Ask yourself which people need to be at your wedding, which people would want to be at your wedding, right? If you were having a birthday party, who are the people that would jump up and down and be excited about celebrating your birthday? That was one way that I used to make it clear to myself who are the first people that should be invited to my wedding. Obviously, family will take a priority, so make sure that you include your family if you feel that they would want to be there and they would be upset if they weren't included, because I think you will always have some cousins and family and friends that you don't necessarily invite because you're not very close to them. But the close family, give them a heads up as early as possible, make a list. Then also have a B list ready. Tick off the B list if any of the A list people are unavailable, or if it becomes apparent that you've got more space or more budget or more availability for expanding out the guest list, then you can add the B list people in as well. But you've got to be real with yourself. Don't feel that you're obliged to invite people because you've been to their wedding or you've been invited to their wedding, or basically they're your cousin's friend's sister or whatever. You've got to ask yourself, are they people that have made an impact in your life? Have they had a positive influence on your life, and would they want nothing but pure love and happiness for you? Let the people that count be there. The other thing to think about for cost is your dress. The dress is an expensive piece of kit. I'll be honest with you, I knew the two things. I wanted a designer dress, I wanted a very nice dress. I also knew that I was going to have a very expensive wedding within a short time, and I almost didn't want to necessarily pay a fortune for my wedding dress. I wasn't going to spend like $2,500-3,000 on a dress or anything ridiculous like that, in British pounds or American dollars or whatever, because, I watched a lot of those bride shows on TV, I said yes to the dress TV shows and stuff, but I was conscious that I'm going to choose a dress that's right for me. It's going to be awesome, and I wanted it to be unique. I wanted it to be very different. And I wanted it to have enough elaborate detail. So there was a lot of compromises in terms of saying yes to some things and no to other things, because I wanted to know that no matter what the price tag of the dress was, it was a dress that I genuinely wanted to wear and liked. So you're going to try on loads of nice dresses, but just make sure you don't feel like you're compromising, you didn't wear something you love. I'll be honest with you though, the wedding is about being married. So if you feel that you want to cut back on the expense of a dress altogether, just wearing something clean and simple and white, or a very high street priced dress for £100 or less pounds, you can do that, and you can still look absolutely fabulous, especially with the right accessories and especially with a handsome husband on your arm. So don't worry too much if you really do need to keep your costs low. The compromise I made was that I looked online for my dress. Even though I did try on several dresses in bridal boutiques, I did look online and I ended up buying out of pure chance, I did find a sample of a brand new dress from the designer that I'd actually aspired to get the dress from. I'd looked at other people selling used dresses, I'd looked at new dresses, I'd been around the shops asking if they supplied that dress in my hometown and stuff. And a lot of the suppliers said they had one or two dresses. One of them I tried on, but it was like an old design, and loads of people on eBay had worn that design and was trying to sell it off, and I just thought, I don't want that design, everybody's worn that one, and no. So the dress that I ended up getting had literally come out in the December and I bought it in the May. So I was absolutely amazed when I got it, because it was like the latest season. I was like, yes, I've got the dress of my dreams. Wonderful. I bought it as a sample. It was about 7 foot long, like you'd have to be a 7 foot model to wear it. So I realized that nobody had worn it before me, definitely, that was for sure. However, I had to have it altered, so that came in at a cost, and that was a lot of hassle finding a seamstress. So some of the costs that you'll have might be associated with altering your dress. But I will say, if your dress has got a simple hemline or a satin fabric, it will be so much cheaper and easier for you to go and find a seamstress to turn the dress up to the right length for you and your wedding shoes. If you've got a patterned hemline on your dress and a patterned panelled detail lace or anything like that, it will be a bit more hard and tricky for the seamstress or the tailor to take the pattern off. I had some seamstresses complain and tell me they couldn't do that. It was impossible to, do it. They'd just have to cut the bottom off and stick it further up and stick it back on. And I thought, oh my God, it's gonna look like a Frankenstein dress. You're gonna ruin my beautiful dress, just mixing bits of fabric. So you need to be very determined, and you need to be very clear what it is you want, and you need to have hope that it's possible for you to get that dress altered if it's a more complicated one like mine was, or just keep it simple, go for a satin dress. You can also get it altered at places where you've bought the dress from. So Wed to Be, they usually have a recommended list of seamstresses and stuff. I went to Birketrex Bride as well. They also knew some seamstresses in Nottingham where I went to the Birketrex Bride shop. They recommended seamstresses too. But in the end, because I bought my dress from the online internet, I ended up buying it from eBay in the end, which was fabulous, because I didn't expect to buy my dress from eBay, but I did, and it was awesome. I had to do a bit of digging myself to find a seamstress, but when I found one, it was great. Now, I paid for the alteration of my dress, and I knew it would cost a bit more because it was more complex. I also paid for the alteration of the bridesmaid dresses, and we also paid for the alteration of the suits because we bought the groomsmen in the suits as well. So if you want to save money, I would suggest buying short bridesmaid dresses, and I would also suggest that you tell the groomsmen to just wear trousers and a tie and a shirt, and ask them just to buy the shirts themselves, and you can just buy one tie and a pair of trousers and ask them to buy their own shoes. So we asked everyone to buy shirt, shoes and a belt, and just basically black shoes and black belt is what we ended up doing, because the suits were grey and they had black buttons, so that's what we went for in the end. It wasn't what I planned. At first I thought everyone would wear like linen, light coloured fabrics. That was the initial plan, but I couldn't source many nice linen suits or light coloured suits. And I also knew then when I'd say tan brown leather shoes, it would just be a bit of an array of which brown leather shoes do we wear. I didn't want everyone to look like robots, but I didn't want them all to look too higgledy-piggledy either. So I just kept it simple enough that people could be free. Any pair of black shoes, as long as they've got a heel on and a sole that looks like a pair of shoes, go for it. So that was what we told them. And then we also got the suits cheaper because we bought them from an outlet store. So normally if you go and order any suits, you might find that you can basically buy 3 or 4 suits and get the groom for free. So that's going to save you money straight away. If you get the suits from an outlet shop and they also do this, you saved even more money because the suit's cheaper and you can still get one free. So that was fabulous because it meant to get everybody in a suit for literally about £300-400, which was great. And because I couldn't do that, it became quite frustrating. So I ended up getting the ties from the high street shop, and the pocket squares I ended up just making my husband have a pocket square so that he stood out more, and he had a waistcoat under his suit to make him stand out more from the others. If you want to save money, especially on saving money on bridesmaid dresses, one alternative option which I considered, I didn't do it but I did consider it, was having short dresses. You might not want a short wedding dress yourself. I know a lot of people prefer long traditional dresses like I did. I had my bridesmaids dresses for about £100 or so, but everyone had the same style beautiful dress on, and that was because I bought them all from an online supplier, and they all came in pre-made, brand new. You can customize colours. Sometimes you can choose the colours of the fabric in advance if you contact the suppliers. The downside with doing that is that you have to wait a while, because it's likely that your dress would have been made by a supplier in China, so the delivery dates aren't necessarily going to be within 2 or 3 days. They're not sending it from your hometown, or from your home country, from the UK. They'll be sending it probably from China, and it will take about 2 or 3 weeks for it to get stitched up, made, and then shipped across to you. And then you obviously have to check it all, make sure it all fits and stuff, get all the bridesmaids to try them all on, have them altered if you want to have them altered. Some of those suppliers will allow you to custom make the dresses, so you can have them measure the length of the dress, and then they can so you can measure the length of the person, and then you can send those measurements off to the suppliers and they'll custom make the dress to that size. I didn't want to risk it. I just wanted to get adjustable dresses, so I got corset back dresses in the end, because I knew I could buy the dresses before the winter. But the following year, when everyone had Christmas and probably, people put on weight and all that type of stuff, nobody was going to be like freaking out that they couldn't zip the dress up because they didn't fit them anymore and they've got to lose weight or anything. Everything was a flattering chiffon material. It skimmed the hips and just floated out, so there was no awkward bumpy bits being gripped or, kind of clingy, sexy dresses. It's different for everyone, but that's why I went for the choices that I went for. I did consider other options, multi-way tie bridesmaid dresses, which I think are beautiful as well. You can also get those online on eBay and stuff. Contact the suppliers, tell them which fabrics you want, etc. I also considered like sequin dresses and stuff, which I know are very expensive. Somebody I know, she had a wedding as well just after me, and she had her mum make some of her dresses for, which was great. And I think it was beautiful because it meant that a mum could contribute to the wedding and they could customize that element of the wedding. So that was fantastic, and it saves you a lot of money rather than spending money on each dress £100 or £150, because that can add up a lot on your overall budget. That saves money on your attire. The other thing to bear in mind is you don't have to necessarily keep your wedding dress or bridesmaid dress after. I told everyone to keep their bridesmaid dresses because I wanted them to feel they've got something that they could keep as a memento from the day, and they maybe will wear it for another event in future. That was why initially I did look at short dresses. I wanted dresses that maybe people could keep and wear again after. And I did consider if you held a bunch of flowers, whether it would still look like a bridesmaid dress. If you're going to do that, I'd highly recommend looking at places like Next, one of my favourite shops that I like to buy products from, buy dresses and clothes from. And they do lots of things at clearance prices. I tried on dresses that I was considering for bridesmaids that were like £9 each. So that is worth bearing in mind. You can get some really good prices of simple chic dresses that can easily be worn as party dresses or dresses to a wedding or for a nice dinner after the event. Photographers. You can save money by not having the photographer with you all day. Obviously it's self-explanatory, but bear in mind that if you're not bothered about having the photographer there to watch you get dressed in the morning and take photos of you, in your robe and with you and the bridesmaids and things like that, if you're not that worried about that, you just want pictures of you in the church, and maybe you just want a few pictures of you eating dinner with your family and stuff afterwards, you can just literally whittle the hours of the photographer right down to the ceremony and a little couple of hours after that, and that will save you a lot of money too. We didn't do that. We had a photographer from the morning right through to the evening when we had the first dance, and we wanted to make sure we captured everything, the cutting of the cake and everything, especially because we had a destination wedding in Italy. We wanted to make sure that that would be memorable to show to family and to people that didn't attend the wedding. So we did the same with the videographer, but I would suggest the same thing. If you don't have a budget for a videographer, obviously everyone's got phones nowadays, so a lot of family and friends did video lots of bits, and I asked them all to send the videos to me. You can put them all in WhatsApp, and you can also get them to send them all on Dropbox, so people then can give you all the clips that they've took of that day or of the whole event, whether that was a few days before or after as well, and you can then get all that information and all those videos and keep them as memories, or compile them into one video, which you can either do yourself or get someone you know to edit for you. So in that sense, you could save money as well by not having a videographer, because it is quite expensive to have those options too. The other thing you can do to save money on like things like food is have like a pizza party. So rather than having a set course dinner, you know, a starter, main, dessert type dinner, you can save money by having a pizza dinner. So in that way, you could just have an array of different pizzas, maybe some cakes as well, and keep it quite simple and informal. So that's appropriate mostly for Italy, of course, but in that way you don't end up paying for set meals and, you know, lots of cutlery and linens and things like that. You could keep it even more simple, have it quite rustic with pizza to keep some of the costs down. And we didn't do that. We had a big meal, and we did pay for several courses and stuff, but that's because I'm quite a foodie and I wanted everyone to experience Italian traditional food. But doesn't mean to say that we didn't eat pizza before and after the actual wedding day. We went everywhere. We went to Florence, we went to local pizza restaurants in the countryside where we were staying, and we loved it. So I think that you could still equally enjoy that on your wedding day too. If you're going to have any events to entertain people, probably one of the most cost-effective ways of doing that as well is to have a barbecue. So if you're going to hire a villa like we did, maybe organise a barbecue as part of your events planning. So you then don't have to pre-book something, because one of the things I was worried about was if I pre-booked a trip on the lake, a boat trip, there was some costs involved in that. Cost number one was the booking in advance per person. Cost number two was there would be a bar bill that had to be a minimum amount that everyone would have to spend. Now, if everybody went on the boat and they've already got free beer and wine that we've already provided for the whole week, remember, free beers and free wine for everyone, which they got when they arrived in the room, and the rest of it we distributed out through the week. And then we had more drinks and wine and stuff on the wedding day. So then you think, well, if I organise a trip as a boat party, then they've got to buy more, so that's going to cost you a lot more in hundreds of pounds worth of bar bills, and you don't know if everybody's going to feel like getting up and going out of bed on the boat that day. So keep it simple, make it so it's convenient and optional and easy. So buy some food from a local supermarket like we did and just put it on a barbecue if you've got that facility at the place you're hiring. It just makes it so much easier. That way people can eat as much or as little as they want, and at least you've done something that brings everyone together so they can all become acquainted before the wedding day. The other thing about spending money on events is people want to go and visit places in your area where your wedding is. So if you're going to have that wedding abroad and you want people to see the area, you know, the sightsee, you want to try and make it convenient for them. So in advance, tell them where they can go. But if you can save them money by making sure they all travel together in a car, by sharing the costs of hiring the car or whatever, that can help to save you money too. We hired a car. We didn't charge the cost to anyone. We didn't ask anyone for money for fuel or anything like that. But what it meant was it was cost saving in that they didn't have to pay for transport from the airport to get to the venue. They also didn't have to pay for transport to go on a day trip because we'd organised that for everyone. So we saved a bit of money like that. It's expensive because you're making an event for people to go and have a day out. But if you can tie it in like we did with our photo shoot before the wedding, which was supposed to be our engagement photo shoot, then again, you're saving time and saving money for everyone. Other than that, just simple things like making your own invitations, having family and friend help you with food, which is what we did in our Nottingham wedding, because my family offered straight away, take the food bill off of your list, we're going to organise all your food for you. And I thought it was fantastic. Again, a chance for your family and friends to help. And organising decorations. We bought decorations from eBay and from Amazon, and we literally decorated the place ourselves when it came back to Nottingham. It took a lot of time and effort though. Putting up decorations before and after takes a lot of time and effort, so bear that in mind. The other thing that's quite expensive is table linen. If you're going to buy tablecloths, the cheapest thing you can do is buy paper roll-out ones. If you buy proper tablecloths like I did as well, it will add up. So we had a mixture of the two. I bought some nice fabrics, again from Amazon, laid them on the main tables where the cake would be and stuff, just to highlight those areas, and then I basically kept everything else quite simple. I used the wedding decorations from Italy, again in Nottingham. Again, I got to get double use out of those items so that I could save money. So the candelabra went to Italy, it came back to Nottingham. It was in the table there. The picture frames went to Italy, came back to Nottingham. The flowers that I had in Italy in the church, the florist was so good. She straight away agreed when I told her, like, can we use the flowers? She said, yeah, people do it all the time. So she arranged at the end of the ceremony in Italy to take the flowers from the church, put them in her car and drive them to my wedding venue and organise them around the table and the eating area in the marquee. And then we had extra flowers that we had running along the table and all the rest of it, but I had use of both sets of flowers, so it saved money in that way. You could just have those flowers used twice and not spend any more money and still have flowers at both places, so that's something you can do to save a bit of money too. I think that's pretty much most of my tips covered, really. I did obviously do a few other little bits and bobs, but I can't remember them all right now. So if you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer them further for you. Anyway, I wish you all the best of luck with planning your own weddings, and I can't wait to see pictures and hear all about them. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, of course, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.